Welcome to Dodgers Dogs. As part of the Dodgers Daily Network, Casey Porter here. Hey, it's been a minute. Spring break was last week. Last weekend, to me, is the best weekend of the year in sports. You had the NCAA basketball tournament for both the men's and the women's. You had the NCAA wrestling championships. You had, obviously, spring training coming in with a spring break, the spring breakout game. I've got all my coverage on that game. And then Oklahoma State had a home series, a conference series against Baylor that I had to cover as well. Plus, it was spring break, and I'm not going to lie, I got kind of, I don't know, I wouldn't say burned out, but I was ready for spring training to be over. I'll put it to you that way, especially after the World Baseball Classic ended as exciting as it did. So, to be honest with you, I mean, there was a lot going on. I had to cover 5 games for OSU. I had to cover the National Wrestling Tournament. The men's team at OSU was in the NIT, and the women's, they won their first round of the NCAA. So I had all of that going, plus a spring breakout game. And to be honest with you, it's getting ready to get real. Friday night is Oklahoma City's opener, and then obviously the Freeway Series, and then the Dodgers start their season going. So it's getting ready to get even busier. Plus, I have a full-time job. I have an entire farm to take care of out by Glencoe, Oklahoma, and I umpire overnight. So what I decided to do was take my spring break and actually have a spring break and enjoy it and just kind of have a mental reset before things really got fun. I don't want to say busy because I want to say fun, because this is a whole lot of fun what I do here. So this isn't our normal time. I was not able to hit that target. So I'm putting a video together right here, right after I got off work and right before I have to go umpire. I've got about 45 minutes, and I've got a couple of things that I want to talk about. Mainly, I want to talk to you. I put that link in the chat right now if you wanted to come in and give your thoughts. But the first thing I wanted to talk about is the Hae-Seong Kim versus Alex Freeland. We've talked about it all off season. I've said many different times, don't be afraid to call it a competition, because it absolutely is. You saw that. One state, Austin's been on this all off season. Credit to Austin Brubaker. He literally has been the only one that has been on the side of Alex Freeland is actually improving, to the point to where if you want to dive into the numbers behind the curtains, it's pretty obvious, because to guys like me, to the normal people, well, he's hitting 111. Well, his OPS is a little over 500. Now, I think there's arguments to be made both ways. But there is nobody that I have heard, yes, no doubt, very, very, very busy. There's nobody else on earth that I've heard that has had the stance that Austin's had, that, hey, this guy, it doesn't look like it results-wise, but the process says that he's actually improving in the ways that he needs to improve to get better. Now, is that actually why the Dodgers chose Alex Freeland? I would say no, okay? Now, listen to me out. Yeah, I'm going to give total credit to Austin Brubaker. What an incredibly wonderful job he has done dissecting this situation. I think that played a part. I think his swing decisions allowed them to have some trust in maybe a role that they might have for him. But I think it goes much, much deeper than that. First of all, I want to give credit to Chuck. Chuck has been on this bandwagon all year, all off season, definitely. And I've told you many times, I have a massive amount of respect for Chuck's baseball knowledge. He has that coach type feel to him. Chuck, spot on, brother. So number one is what Chuck has been saying all off season. I think the biggest factor of this came down to which player were they okay making a role player and minimize playing time at the major league level, and which player did they feel like needed to get the everyday playing time, which would be at the AAA level. So I think they felt more comfortable with Alex Freeland, and I think they felt more comfortable with Alex Freeland because I think the number one, let's say that the defense was equal. I think Hae-Seong Kim probably has a little bit more range. I think Alex Freeland's probably a little bit more consistent. So I'm going to call the defensive measurements between the two equal, okay? If you look at the offense, I think when you look at both of them, obviously Hae-Seong Kim's been better. He's certainly been more explosive. Alex Freeland has not been good in terms of results. But if you look at the left-handed side of the plate for Alex Freeland, I would say that I think you could make the argument that the left-handed side for Alex Freeland is the number one most major league ready tool of any of the tools between offensive tools between Hae-Seong Kim and Alex Freeland. Now, obviously, Hae-Seong Kim has hit better. He's gotten more hits, all that. I'm just saying one particular tool in terms of the roles that they would have. So I think, number one, this is actually a compliment to Hae-Seong Kim, because a lot of times the second best player at a position in your organization is in AAA. And then you go get like a quad A type depth guy to sit on the bench because you don't mind a quad A guy, a guy that's just kind of been relishing around in the league for a while. You don't mind him just getting 5 to 10 at-bats a week because that's his role. You don't want your young hotshot prospects doing that, though. You want those guys getting at-bats every day. So I think in a large way, you got to look at this in an opposite viewpoint. I think despite the fact that it doesn't look like this because one's getting sent down and one isn't, one's getting to stay, I think this actually is an endorsement for Hae-Seong Kim because he's the one that they don't want to lose at bats every day. And I think that was Chuck's point all off season. And I think it's come to fruition, and Chuck has been absolutely spot on for the entire way. So that's number one. Number two, here's another thing. And this is where I have been completely wrong on this situation. And I can see it either way, okay? So Hae-Seong Kim might be, pound for pound, the best athlete in the entire system. If you see him in person, especially field level, he's explosive. He's extremely impressive. His athletic ability it's breathtaking. His lower half is incredible, okay? His speed is amazing, okay? Having said all that, my point's been, hey, let's make him the starting second baseman. Let's get him in the adjustment to the period where he can have his failures, make his adjustments. Let's get him major league ready now. Let's let him start that process now. That way, by the end of the year, he's no longer a rookie, right? I mean, he may be technically, but it's kind of like in college, you say, well, they're no longer a freshman towards the end of the year, right? Let's get that process started. And I still think that's the best plan for Hae-Seong Kim. But then I also see this part of it. The Dodgers, in my opinion, are seeing Hae-Seong Kim, and they're thinking, this dude's like the best, maybe the best athlete, certainly one of, and I'm not exaggerating, certainly one of the best athletes in all of baseball. Not AAA, not any of that, not all of baseball. One of the best athletes, pound for pound, of any player in professional baseball, period. End of discussion. I'm not even going to argue that. So to say, let's pin this guy, but maybe, of course, I don't know. I don't know all the measurements behind it. So I'll say maybe, and then I'll use the term one of. Maybe he's the best athlete in all of professional baseball. Do you really want that guy to be pinned into second base every day, into that little box? I mean, do you want your best athlete to be your second baseman? To me, you want your best athlete to be the shortstop or the center fielder or the guy that has to cover all the ranks. The arm for Hae-Seong Kim is fantastic. So in a way, I think you could look at Hae-Seong Kim and go, man, with the tools that he has. Now, I'm not saying they're refined, okay? I'm not saying that they're major league consistent right now, but they are major league explosive at the top end. So I could see how you could say, okay, well, how in the world does it make sense to take all of those top-end tools of Hae-Seong Kim, the speed, the arm strength, the defensive ability, the explosiveness, and put that guy 30 feet away from the first baseman and make it to where you don't even need a great athlete to be a great second baseman? That's a waste of that tremendous athletic ability to pin him down to being an everyday second baseman. I think that's a massive part of this. I think that's why I think part of this decision is that the Dodgers are wanting to tag Hae-Seong Kim as that super utility player. I don't think he would have gotten a super utility role at the major league level. So he goes down with AAA Oklahoma City. He plays shortstop. because, hey, Mookie Betts isn't going to be a shortstop forever. So he gets to train there. He gets to play second base, and he gets to play center field. So he gets to develop those super utility skills, right? And as a super utility player, he then gets to use that incredible, not good, not great, incredible, breathtaking athletic ability that he has, and he gets to put that ability to the best use instead of just standing at second base every day. I think that is a large part of the decision that they have made here with Hae-Seong Kim. And so whenever you put into the equation Alex Freeland, like Austin has said all offseason, has shown some trustability in terms of the pitches that he'll swing at, throw him in the 9-hole, hope he walks a little bit, gets a few hits here or there, okay? He's shown to be a good defender. He's shown to be a good left-handed stick. And the fact that you don't want to stick Hae-Seong Kim as an everyday second baseman, you want to make him a super utility guy, and you want him to get everyday at bats, which you don't think he was going to get at the major league level. When you throw all of that into the pot and you make a stew, it comes out to the Dodgers, by the way, have earned the benefit of the doubt, I think, right? Okay, so beyond if I agree with it or not, how about I shut the hell up, I'm talking about myself, if I have a problem with it, because who in the heck am I or anybody else to not to just not question the Dodgers, to just not to completely and totally and entirely give them the benefit of the doubt. Okay, so I promise you, every part of this has been well thought through. I think everything I went over right there were all the decisions, and when you got to the end of it, that's what made sense. Don't want to pin him into second base. You want him to be super utility, to use his athletic ability. You want him to get everyday at bats. And Alex Freeland showed improvements enough in certain areas to be able to justify that. So I think that's where all of that goes. Plus, because I'll say this is what Dodgers fans don't understand. I think a lot, even some very educated Dodgers fans, which I consider the fans here at Dodgers Dawgs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network, to be very niche, which means they're very, very, very educated above just the average fan, right? So I think even some fans here at the Dodgers Daily level, the Dodgers Dawgs level, don't understand when Hae-Seong came over last year. It was a huge adjustment, okay? I mean, he even admitted he had to get used to how hard the ball was hit. He had to get used to how hard pitchers threw every night, how good the breaking stuff was, and just consistently how good the talent was. That was a huge adjustment period for him. Then he was coming to an entirely new country. Then he was trying to learn an entirely new language. It was a big elephant to try to eat last year for Hae-Seong Kim. So to finish this point, if the Dodgers don't think that adjustment period is completely over with yet, I think that also plays in to the equation of leaving Hae-Seong Kim at the AAA level. So, it is what it is. I'm going to say this. It would not actually. Let me put I think I had to start a new meeting. So let me go ahead and put this new link in here. There is the link to the meeting there. It's a decision that if you kind of look on the surface, you go, what in the world are they doing? I mean, you're taking a 111 guy, OPS 500, whatever, and you're putting him over Hae-Seong. If you peel back the curtains like Austin has done, like Craig has done, or like Chuck has done over the entire offseason, if you peel back the onion like we've done, I haven't done it. Other people have done it. I love it when other people are right. Trust me. I love giving it up to other people. I love complimenting other people. I think if you follow this site, if you follow any of my social media, one thing I love to do is tell somebody when they've done something good. I just get a lot of joy out of that. I just get a lot of joy of giving attababies. I love it. I just think it's part of developing confidence. I think it's part of I just enjoy it. So I enjoy, giving other people credit when credit is due, and got to do that here because I was not on any of this. I didn't even, to be honest with you, when I saw it, it had not even been in my brain. It just wasn't even something I was considering at that point. So Joseph makes a point here. Will Kim mentally benefit from going to AAA? I personally don't think so. I don't personally agree with this decision. It's not a decision I would have made, but I'm giving you all the reasons why I think the Dodgers made it. I don't think in any way, shape, or form I'm wrong on any of the reasons. I've been wrong about the results of what would happen. Austin's been right. Chuck's been right. I'm giving the reasons why I think the Dodgers did it. I don't agree with it, but again, I'm going to say this again. Who am I to not give the benefit of the doubt to the Dodgers? Who am I to question any of this? These dudes and these men and women that are running this organization have not missed, and they stand to win their third world championship in a row. So while I don't personally, Joseph, think that Kim will mentally benefit from going to AAA, I'm going to give the Dodgers the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to be super excited to watch Hae-Seong Kim on Friday. I'm super, super, super happy for Alex Freeland, and I'm going to go on down the road with it. Beyond that, I'm just going to be happy for everybody in the situation they're in. It was a big goal of his to make the roster this year. He literally apologized to fans for his drop-off after they won the World Series. Chuck says Kim benefits much more than Freeland would by going to AAA Oklahoma City. Chuck, you have been consistent on that all offseason. Got to give it up to you, brother. You have been absolutely spot on. What a great baseball man you are. Hey, Joseph, I'm just not sold on underlying metrics. I see what I see, and I'm just not sold on Freeland. I'm with you. I totally agree with you, Joseph. We're on the same page, and I don't think it was the underlying metrics. I think that was either a part of the equation or a small part of the equation. It certainly wasn't the entire equation to the decision that was made. So, yeah, Freeland is not a good right-handed hitter, says Craig. And, see, here's the deal. This was always going to be a platoon, maybe a matchup type role. And so I just don't think Alex Freeland's going to get any right-handed at-bats. I think this is going to be an exclusively left-handed deal for Alex Freeland, no doubt about that. So excited for him, and we'll see how Hae-Seong Kim handles that. So, hey, did you check out the spring breakout game on Saturday? Let me get to it right here. This right here, this young man is Zack Root. Let me, if I can turn off the volume. I thought I did that. This is Zack Root. Now, let me explain that it's not Alex Vesia, believe it or not. He kind of has some Ronan Kopp to him, too. But Zack Root. Okay, so let me explain something about Zack Root. He grew up in Fort Myers, Florida. Howdy, I got tickets for tomorrow night's Shohei start. That sounds super fun, Brazucal. Thank you so much for joining. So Zack Root, as a young man, the Dodgers made the number one pick of last summer. Look at that. See, that's his, let me back that up. This is his slider cutter hybrid. Watch these pitches to the right-hander. See, this is the back door. So there's the fastball up in the zone. But you're getting ready to see the slider. There's that slider cutter hybrid there. That's one of his best secondary. Watch this. That's the fastball up in the zone again. There's that slider hybrid with the slider hybrid cutter right there 2 times in a row. You just got to see it. So Zack Root, yeah, it was a crazy game, Joseph, no doubt. Dodgers number 1 draft pick last year. Grew up in Fort Myers, Florida. Very familiar with that area. Had a good buddy that lived down there. Went down there and played golf quite a bit. Went and saw him a couple of times. And then he went to East Carolina, transferred to East Carolina, from East Carolina to Arkansas. Okay, so at Arkansas, he became the Friday night starter. And let me explain something to you about being a Friday night starter in the SEC. First of all, the talent in the SEC is crazy. Just look at the draft picks. And another thing about SEC teams, they try to intimidate. They have all kinds of goofy type antics. Their coaches allow them to be, in my opinion, goofballs. Oklahoma State got to deal with Georgia last year. Oklahoma State, I got to see Zack Root. We went and scrimmaged them in the fall. That would have been before Zack Root's senior year last year. So I knew all about how good he was. Plus, I talked to Brian Kraft about him, who's a scout in this area. So knew all about Zack Root and Charles Davalon. And he is absolutely a dynamite competitor. This is a guy that is off the charts competitive. And if you watch him, he commands the mound. I mean, he has that SEC presence to him, Friday night starter presence. Friday night starter just means ace in college baseball, where he tries not just to beat hitters, he tries to obliterate hitters, he tries to embarrass hitters, and he tries to dominate hitters into submission. Just watch his mannerisms. This is a guy with supreme confidence that tries to convey that confidence to his teammates, and then also tries to use that confidence to intimidate the opponents. Now, will that work in the pros? To an extent, yes, we'll see. But I think you got to see that on Saturday. So the mix is complete. You got all the intangibles, the confidence, all that. There's the bigger slider. You can see he can add and subtract. He also has a spike curveball. So Zack Root, although he grew up in Fort Myers, Florida, he actually grew up a huge Dodgers fan, and he grew up a huge Clayton Kershaw fan. So you kind of see the way he holds the glove. He also has a huge spiked curveball that he patterned after. See that one right there? That's the curveball. That's not quite as big as the Uncle Charlie from Clayton Kershaw, but Clayton Kershaw was his hero, and he patterned his curveball after Clayton Kershaw. So he has a 4-seam, a 2-seam, that slider cutter hybrid that we've seen 2 or 3 times, and the big curveball. So this is a guy that's really, really good. I'm excited. I think he ended with Great Lakes last year. Don't quote me on that. I do think Zack Root will end up at least by Tulsa by the end of this year. So, yeah, someone dropped in. Yeah, no problem. So I'm excited. Hopefully he makes it to Tulsa. I get to see Zack Root this year. So super excited about that. I had not really covered him a whole lot this year. I wanted to get to him. So just kind of, you would understand where, who this guy is. And he didn't just come out of nowhere. He has always been good. He was the number 1 starter at Arkansas in the SEC, and he was the Dodgers' number 1 pick last summer. Another guy that you got to see in the spring breakout game, he gave up a couple runs. That's fine. Big Ski, Adam Sierwanowski. Sierwanowski made it up to AA Tulsa. He will start with the Drillers. Cannot wait to watch Sierwanowski throw in person. He has the big breaking ball, no doubt, the good fastball. A little more simple of a mix than Zack Root. I mean, he's going to be a 2 or 3 pitch pitcher. Another guy with supreme confidence, long length, good extension, and a unique throwing motion. Sierwanowski, I've said this a couple of times, but the thing that's exciting about him that I think you need, well, first of all, the Dodgers traded for him last summer from the Reds. He pitched against the high A Great Lakes Loons, and the Dodgers noticed him. They're like, hey, if we can ever have a chance to get him, we're going to pick him up. And sure as heck they did at the trade deadline. He came over, pitched really well for the Loons, got promoted to AA Tulsa, and pitched really well from there. So Adam Sierwanowski has done a great job since he's been in the Dodgers system. He's going to start in AA Tulsa, and by the way, this time in next offseason, he's going to be Rule 5 eligible, which means the Dodgers will have to put him on the 40-man, and if they don't, then somebody will pick him up and the Dodgers will lose him. So I say all that to say, by this time next year, Adam Sierwanowski will be on somebody's 40-man roster. I would put about a 99.9% fact that I think it will be the Dodgers 40-man, because I think they will protect him. And so I say that to say, if they're going to protect him and put him on the 40-man the offseason next year, they might do like they did with Alex Freeland and Edgardo Henriquez in the years they were eligible for the Rule 5, and just go ahead and put him on the 40-man in September, bring him up for a cup of coffee, and kind of get that process started. So I see Adam Sierwanowski having an outside shot this year, Big Ski they call him, of actually making a major league debut. Now, I think, again, it's an outside shot, but I think circumstances with the Rule 5 and all that, I think give him at least an outside shot. So pay attention to Adam Sierwanowski. You saw him in the game the other night in the breakout game, and so there's a little bit more on him. And then here's a little bit more on Ronan Kopp. So from a guy who I think has an outside shot to a guy that I think is a slam dunk to make, not a slam dunk, but I think it's more likely than not that Ronan Kopp you're seeing here will make his major league debut this year. A young man who threw a scoreless inning, last night in the Freeway Series. I did not get a chance to watch that game, so excuse me for my ignorance. I've just been absolutely too busy as of late. But Ronan Kopp, a big dude with a big slider, big fastball. He has a changeup he can bring out of the bag every now and then. Kind of has that Madison Bumgarner or Clayton Kershaw mix to him, big size. He's worked on a slide step. So definitely pay attention to Ronan Kopp. Ronan Kopp's a guy that I think again, I don't think I think it's probably closer to a slam dunk than it is he won't make it type deal for Ronan Kopp. I think he will make his major league debut, so I wanted to get that one out there and make sure that you were very aware. Put Ronan Kopp, Adam Sierwanowski, Zack Ruth. They're all guys that you need to have in your Rolodex. No doubt about that. And another guy that I wanted to cover that did not have a good outing. Again, you can't put too much into overall results. I wanted to cover Christian Zazueta. Here's him in the spring breakout game. He gave up a whole bunch of runs. I don't care. I mean, it's one game. Results, whatever. Zazueta, his velo is bumping, but the thing about him, that changeup is huge. The fastball is a great pitch. See, he had some problems here. A good play there, James Tibbs the third. But see that fastball? That is reaching 96 to 97. That's a good pitch. And the thing is, that the fastball is kind of like Cam Day that we saw in the spring breakout game. We'll get to Cam here in a second. See that changeup? That's the pitch. And he's a professional glove hitter. Zazueta, see how he's working the inside? He's working the top of the zone. Right there again, he worked the inside part of the zone. He worked the outside part of the zone. Both to the top. He can work the bottom of the zone. He throws a good changeup. He has a good slider. So this is a young man in Christian Zazueta, although he did not, they call him El Pulpito, although he did not have a good results in the spring breakout game. He is definitely, I think, a front of the Rolodex type of guy Zazueta is, because he is very good. It's the execution piece. So, some guys are just massive stuff, like we see Edgardo Henriquez. Edgardo Henriquez and Ronaldo Yin, they are just, they overwhelm you. They take your breath away with their stuff. That's not what this guy is. This guy is a glove hitter. He is a guy that sequences and has to execute. Although his stuff is getting more and more explosive by the day, Christian Zazueta is definitely one you need to put in your Rolodex. And I'll tell you another guy I wanted to cover that we've covered quite a bit that got him a hit the other day. And point blank, it's just good to see him healthy again. My favorite swing in the entire system, I'm going to put it to you point blank, Zach Earhart and Mike Sirota have the two offensive profiles that I like the most. That direct Paul Molitor, simple, hit the ball the other way, hit the ball up the middle, use the big part of the field, use your speed, be a complete offensive player, be able to hit off speed, be able to do all those kinds of things. Mike Sirota, I love this guy. I think this guy has a chance maybe to make it up to AAA this year. I think Zach Earhart has a chance to make it up to AAA. But I'll say this, it's just good to see Sirota back. Again, I'm not saying he's the best offensive player of any prospect in the system, but I am saying I like the approach and I like the directness of his swing and the way that he uses all fields. My favorite swing in the system, Mike Sirota. I love this guy. I think he is. I just think there's a place in this game for offensive profiles like him, guys that just want to put the ball in play, that just want to hit line drives. They don't care if it's a fly ball. They don't care if it's on the ground. They just want to hit the ball as hard as they can, and that's definitely Mike Sirota. I absolutely love his offensive profile. Another guy, Cam Day. Look at that big breaking ball. That is a big breaking ball from Cam Day. Now, he did walk in a run. That's not good. That goes to the execution piece. There's another big breaking ball for Cam Day. But fastball has reached 100 miles an hour. There's a slider. So you've seen his curveball, a slider. You're getting ready to see a fastball that can approach 100, that has hit 100 miles an hour in the past. Cam Day, I'll tell you what, Zach Earhart, James Tibbs III, I think have made huge impacts. Obviously, Santiago Espinal, but quietly on the back end of competitions, not for starting roles at the major league level. I think at that next level, guys that are climbing that are a year or two away, I think Cam Day has made maybe the biggest impression of anybody in the system in terms of, okay, well, we see you working. Now, the thing about Cam Day is he's just got to continue to improve the execution. I mean, he's a guy that he's a guy with big, loud stuff like Ben Kasperius. When he executes, it's curtains for hitters, but he doesn't always execute perfectly. So the goal for him, raise the floor. The bad outings for him tend to snowball and end up really bad. So I think the focus for Cam Day is to improve execution so the bad outings are like 1 or 2 runs and not 7 or 8 runs. So there's 4 guys I think probably have, let me get to them here. I think there's 4 guys that have raised their stock the most this year in spring training. Now, I'm not saying they're going to make the Major League roster. I'm not saying they will be on the Major League roster. I'm just saying 4 guys I think have raised their stock the most in terms of prospects. I think that's Zack. I think that's James Tibbs III. Antonio Knowles, the spin doctor, has an ERA of 1.80, a young man that finally made it to AAA Oklahoma City last summer, and a young man we just saw a minute ago in Ronan Kopp. So let's show Antonio Knowles. Let's get him on the board, and let's talk about him a little bit because he's a young man they call the spin doctor. Let me actually open up the wrong program. A little clunky always when I'm by myself. So let's get to Antonio Knowles. This is a guy, again, that has a 1.80 ERA. Now, obviously, it's a short sample size, and it's hard for me, because I kind of speak out both sides of my mouth because, I talk about Chris Jones as a way to I don't care about the results, that kind of thing. But then I give the 1.80 ERA to defend or to support Antonio Knowles. So I get it. I'm kind of speaking out both sides of my mouth. Trust me, I get that part of it. But I love Antonio. Spin doctor, that's why, right there. Huge breaking ball. His execution has been big. He actually added a 4-seam. He didn't add it, but he started throwing his 4-seam a little bit more last summer. But typically it's that pitch right there, the 2-seam he misses barrels with. So you're like right there, that was a typical Antonio Knowles. You set him up with the off-speed, with the slider, then you throw the 2-seam, and the 2-seam's not meant to miss bats, it's meant to miss barrels and get soft. See that 2-seam there? See how much movement that had? Combine that with the slider. Now, he missed on that slider, but if you take that 2-seam you just saw a minute ago, that one there, and then you combine that right turn of that pitch, and then you pair that with the left turn of, that's actually another changeup. You hop back. That's another 2-seam. You hop back over the plate. Pair it with that left turning slider. That's why he's called the spin doctor. And I really think Antonio Knowles is one of the guys that has made one of the biggest impressions on the Dodgers this year in terms of turning heads and just impressing people. And now they knew that he was good, obviously, but he's proven it in front of all the big guys. They've actually like Dave Roberts doesn't get a chance to see these guys in person, obviously, because he has his own game to manage. And a lot of times they're playing while they're managing, and I doubt he watches a whole lot of minor league baseball. So a guy like Dave Roberts got his eyes on Antonio Knowles maybe for the first time, right? So it's a big deal for them to pitch well whenever they're in front of these guys. So I think those 4 guys, you can argue whoever you want to argue, but I think those 4 guys that I mentioned right there, Zack hit .314 on the spring training, OPS 904, James Tibbs III, got his batting average all the way up to .333, OPS 1107. Antonio Knowles, ERA of 1.80, and Ronan Kopp has not given up I don't think he's going to pitch again because he pitched last night. Ronan Kopp did not give up a run in spring training. Those 4 guys really have raised their bar and turned some heads in the system. Also got a good look at Emil Morales the other night, so he's an exciting big shortstop type guy. He looked really good. I'll tell you another guy that's done really well. You just saw him make a play just a minute ago. Noah Miller has really had a really good spring training. So is obviously Josue DePaula. And the thing I like about DePaula, well, there's many things. Obviously the hit tool. But the hit tool's kind of got some tweener to it. Like he's going to be a first baseman or a corner outfielder and doesn't profile to hit a lot of home runs as far as the launch angles go, right? All that. So those are some of my concerns. But I'll tell you what, the one thing I think I've been the most impressed about with Josue DePaula is the fact that he seems to like the highlight, the bright lights. So like last year in the All-Star, the rookie game, whatever they call it, at the All-Star break, he was the All-Star. He was the MVP. He hit the home run, right? And the spring breakout game, he gets a double off the left center field wall. So when the lights are bright and shining, Josue DePaula seems to like that environment better. And that translates every bit as much as physical tools, because if you're going to play for the Los Angeles Dodgers, you're going to be under a very bright light. So to be able to handle that is no small thing. So I think one thing that you can put in the one feather you can put in the cap of Josue DePaula, one of many, is that he has shown, at least to this point, to be a young man that enjoys challenges and enjoys the bright lights. And that is a big factor in the Dodgers system. Joseph says Miller has been really impressive. Runs the bases like his pants are on fire. I totally agree with that. Noah Miller has been a very, very good baseball player. So that's going to do it for me. Very short show today, 35 minutes in. I get it. I understand all that. I apologize, but I got to get to my second job, which is umpiring right now. I wanted to get a quick show, get my thoughts in on the Alex Freeland, Hae-Seong Kim. We'll have our regularly timed show tomorrow at 9 o'clock Pacific, so make sure and tune in then. We'll have a little bit more for you there, and we will get after it. So until then, again, I want to apologize for the short show. That's all I can do at the moment. So I want to thank you so much for tuning in. You Dodgers Dogs, as part of the Dodgers Daily Network, are the absolute best. I missed you over this last week and change. Trust me, I did. I couldn't wait to get back on it and get to talking with y'all again. So thank you again for tuning in. And as always, remember, it's a great day to be a Dodger.